Everybody wants to be, but nobody wants to do. Girl, it's time to be real, raw, and relentless. Everybody wants to be, but nobody wants to do. You know it's time.
Recrown you.
What's up, guys? It's your girl, Truly Inspired Martin, and welcome to another episode of the Recrown You podcast, baby. That's right, ladies. We are here for the women who are ready to be real, raw, and relentless in their pursuit to unleash their inner badass. So what exactly does that mean for you? That means that you're the woman that's been through some things and you said you are ready to deal with it. You're the woman that says, I am ready to be the best version of myself, and whatever that takes, I'm going to utilize everything inside of me to make that happen. You're the woman that says, you know what? It's about time that I face those things that I never faced if I'm saying that I'm going to be this woman that I claim that I want to be. You're the woman that just says, I'm tired of the fluff, I'm tired of the BS, where is the real? And that's what we are here for, ladies. It's another powerful episode over here at the Recrown You podcast. It's your girl, Truly Inspired Martin, the Millennial Reset Coach. And y'all know how we start every episode around these parts. With a statistic or a quote. And today, I think we should jump into the quotes. Yeah? All right. So I was looking up some things, right, on 13 shocking leadership development statistics, right? So these can help explain the problem many HR leaders face developing leaders today, right? So to start, 10,000 baby boomers are retiring each day. All right. 48% of the workforce will be millennials by 2020. 48%. Okay. 67% of millennials are looking for a new job. That's funny. 91% plan to stay at their current job fewer than 3 years, right? So these are just a couple little things I found out about leadership in the workplace. But when we're talking about leadership overall, I think a lot of us are so caught up on thinking that leadership is something about the person who is the boss, right? We're not thinking about servant leadership, right? We're not thinking about all the different forms of leadership that exist, right? And I think when we start to get into what leadership truly means, then we'll get a true understanding of what it really means to be a leader, right? There's so many different ways this goes, right? And I think that it's important that we look at every aspect when we're speaking of leadership. So because I am not the one to give you the full breakdown and rundown on all these different types of leadership and what leadership is and what it does, I think it is absolutely important for us to bring somebody who can give you some information on that. So, without further ado, I'm going to let the man introduce himself to you guys all the way down in Orlando, Florida. Kali, you here?
Yeah, I'm here. How are you guys?
Good. Let's get into it. So tell us a little bit about yourself and a fun fact that nobody knows.
Ooh, okay. I'm going to save the fun fact for the end. My name is Richardson. Currently working out here at the University of Central Florida, but also an entrepreneur like most millennials out here hustling one day at a time, trying to make it work. Basically what I do is speaking, workshop facilitation, and basically personal and leadership development from middle school, high school students, all the way to executives. The fun fact about me is probably I actually hate pickles. Like I really, really hate pickles.
First of all, and that's just first, you're my new best friend because nobody understands how much I hate pickles. They really feel like, they're like, oh my God, but you like cucumbers. Okay. And I really hate pickles. So at least I know that I'm not the only crazy person around here, right?
No facts.
So tell us about what you do, who you are. Let's get into that.
Yeah. So basically I have a company called Colleague Speaks and Associates at colleaguerichardson.com. And basically I go around the country talking to college students, young professionals, executives, high school students, almost anybody who will listen. when it comes down to leadership development and personal development. I was actually awarded a Hall of Fame certification from my university before I graduated as an undergrad. And so I just kind of have this niche just for diving deeper and deeper into how we see and how we execute leadership, not only by a position, but by making ourselves leaders, whether that be service leaders or leading by example, so that as we make ourselves better, we make those around us better also. Kind of a iron sharpens iron kind of standpoint.
Love it. Love it. Okay, cool. So let's jump into it. So what is leadership?
Leadership comes down to a standpoint of, by definition, is a person or group leading a force in a particular direction. And so we use our organizations, for example, organizational leadership would be centered around the mission statement of the organization. So if we're all about community service, everything we should do should be based around, in some form, way, or fashion, around community service. It's not about necessarily how you feel about community service, but making sure that that organization is going in that direction. And I feel like a lot of times we get our emotions too invested, and we kind of lose track of why we're actually here as leaders. For example, kind of going back into the workforce, I know most of us out here are hustling, is that the Harvard Business Review actually said in 2025 that 75% of the workforce is supposed to be millennials. So as baby boomers are retiring and going out, we're going in faster. Our thinking style is different. Our multitasking skills are higher. We love technology. We want things to be impactful. We want things to matter. And so for that, most of us are accelerating a lot quicker than our peers.
That's really good to know. So how do you determine what is your leadership style? Like, what is leadership versus what people think it is?
All right, so for both of those questions, part A, most people can go online and they can search leadership assessment, Strengths Quest, or all these different platforms that kind of give you an idea of what your leadership is. So for example, I used Strengths Quest before, and by Strengths Quest, one of my top leadership skills is called control. So when there's chaos and everybody's kind of running in panic, I'm really good at bringing us back in to focus on the goal we're talking about. Now, as far as what leadership is versus how we do it, most people see leadership as a role. So because I'm the manager or because I'm the president, that makes me a leader by default. That's wrong. What makes you a leader is the way upon which you lead people, rather that be understanding their individuals' needs, likes and dislikes, knowing how to get somebody to accomplish a goal or a task that basically succeeds your overall goal as an organization, as we spoke about with the mission statement before.
That's good. So like women, right? So women in the workplace, women in life. Like I've even gone in, because I've taken some business courses as well. And I know that there were like 8 or 9 different leadership styles. Is it something like that?
That's correct.
Yeah. I know that one of them was servant leadership, because I tend to fall into that a lot. Servant leadership, transformational, I think transactional, erocratic. There was some other French sounding one like liaise, fier.
Yeah, that's more me.
Oh, that's you?
Yeah, that's me. The first one is me.
Democratic, bureaucratic, charismatic, and situational, right? And I think I think it's important to actually go look this up and really look at what type of leadership do you think you fall into? Because it's very beneficial. Just like taking, I don't know if have you ever taken the DISC assessment?
Yes, I have.
That's so beneficial too, because that also shows how you lead, right? And how you interact with people, and why you are the way you are, and it makes better for connections and relationship building, right?
Agreed. One of the biggest things is when looking at these assessments, especially the DISC, you have to understand that this assessment is across your actual lifespan, right across all different components, your family, your work, your organizations, whatever. So when you're taking the stuff, you have to also take it with a little grain of salt and understand that it's not all particularly aimed towards one part of your life.
Right. That's very important to know, because somebody will see a high D and be like, yes, that's me. I'm all D. No, you can actually be a little bit of everything. And most people are, right. And kind of use it as a mold, maybe, so to speak, not as the actual person inside the mold.
Yeah. I tell a lot of my interns, students, clients, etc., is that most things I tell you, most things you see, you have to take it to an extent. Right. So we talked about leadership style before. I'm the French one, right? Laissez faire. And basically my style is I'm going to give you a task and I'm going to walk away. I'll come check on you, and I pray that it's done. How you get from point A to point B matters not to me. It's the point that you get the job done to a certain level of perfection. And so working with people who are highly motivated, it works well for me because I can say, hey, go do this. I can go handle something else and come back and know it's going to be done to a decent level versus somebody else where they may not be as motivated and they may need somebody else to stay on top of them. But if I'm not paying attention to what they need or what I need and what works best for me or what works best for them, we may not get the optimal result.
That's strong. That's strong right there. So I know growing up, right, your parents or most people's parents used to tell them, you need to be a leader, not a follower, right? Like we heard that growing up. That was a major thing. Like learn to be a leader and not a follower. What do you think is the importance of that? Like how important is it to be a leader versus a follower now as an adult versus that statement that came at you as a child?
So I'm gonna be a little controversial.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So basically, like I grew up in the islands, in the Virgin Islands, and so the way we do things is a little different. It wasn't like, hey, you need to be a leader, not a follower. It was that you need to be a good follower to learn how to be a great leader. Which, and in part, in being a good follower, you have to take ownership and find a good leader in the first place. So, for example, I used to look up to my older cousin, and so when he was doing things that I wanted to do, which were good, I was being a good follower by finding a good leader, right, or master in a sense to follow. That way, when I became a leader, I would hope that the people who choose to follow me are seeing me as a good leader. That's why they want to follow me, not just following anybody and everybody. Because nowadays, between social media, IG, and everything else, everybody does everything. How do you know that they're of caliber, of merit? How do you know they're good leaders? And why should you follow them?
That's strong right there. And I'm actually Jamaican. So you stupid. So one of the things that I find interesting in all of that is I feel like there's absolutely two sides to that coin, right? It's very, very interesting because you do need to be a good follower before you can truly know how to lead. Like there's a blueprint, there's an understanding, there's you being able to conceptualize certain things and be able to see the right, the wrong, the good, the bad, to be able to understand, okay, this is how I should lead going forward. And leading is not just about being the authoritative figure, right? Leading is about the mindset. It's about so many different principles, right? Can we get into like an overall model of what leadership looks like to you?
Yeah, so for me, leadership is primarily about more or less being a teacher. So, for example, most people that I teach or in general, when it comes to leadership, you're not a leader until you create a leader who can create a leader. If that makes sense, right? So it's not until it goes full circle. So, for example, I had some interns when I was an undergrad. I taught them everything I knew. I graduated and left. They then taught a class behind them, who taught a class behind them, who taught a class behind them. And now there are 5 different generations of strong African American leaders at a predominantly white institution that are highly trained compared to their peers. And so I see that as a success because the ones that I had a direct connection with, of course, did well, but the ones that I don't even know are doing just as well. So that means I taught those underneath me something. Anytime you're teaching or learning, you have to understand that everything you teach isn't going to be absorbed and everything that you're learning, you're not going to get. And so you try to find the best parts that are for you as an individual, because everything I say isn't going to work for everyone. You find that one little piece that works for you. My mother also says a quote that even in a lot of bullshit, there's always a little bit of truth, right? And every joke is a truth. So you kind of have to find that one thing and say, you know what, this could possibly be useful as a follower. Let me take this and reflect on that. And as a leader, you kind of have to also share a lot of things from a lot of different perspectives so that whoever it is that you're talking to at the time can say, hey, that's for me. You know what? This isn't. Maybe that's for me. And they're able to identify with different styles, different quotes, different stats, different things from different perspectives that can all say the same message, but from a different angle.
So I could really understand how the leadership perspective and understanding how leadership is important can really be a building block of who you are as a person and how you connect with people and how you go after that career and how you pursue business, right? How you pursue life. What are some maybe some tangible steps or tips or something that you can leave for our listeners on how to start going after a model that is conducive to them being successful in a leadership, let's say a leadership mindset or a leadership role in their life?
Something I share a lot with people is have smart goals. Have a smart goal and identify what it is that you want and how you're going to get there. Also, from that standpoint, understand you have to learn. So rather that be reading, YouTube videos, Googling, right, listening to ET or Simon Sinek, TED Talks, whatever. You are what you eat. So if you not necessarily engulf your entire life, but you make time every day to have a good meal, listen to a good podcast or anything like that, you're genuinely going to learn something of value. And that way you can take that something of value in your own style and share it with those that you are more or less as a leader responsible for. So every day you have to, at least how my mentor taught me, every day you got to eat 3 pancakes, right? So I eat 3 pancakes today, 3 pancakes tomorrow. If I don't eat 3 pancakes today, it means I got to eat 6 pancakes tomorrow, right? So that's poor planning, poor preparation. Already not on a good foot. And the moral of the story is I hate pancakes, right? So why would I force myself to eat more of something with poor preparation while I could prepare well and eat a little bit every day, right? Being that more of I am what I eat, rather that be listening to music, what I watch on TV, what I read, and just kind of engulf your life in that. Me personally, I try to listen to artists who have lyrics and drop legitimate bars, right? Not just club music. Or when I watch YouTube videos, I'll dabble in the news. I'll dabble in philosophy. I'll dabble in something else. Just trying to stay versatile and fluid like water and getting as much things as I can get. And even when I am recreational watching a movie for argument's sake, if I can see a lesson in that movie or in that TV show, I use it as an example because everyone, watches TV. Use it as an example when I teach. So, for example, and I'll say this in closing, is that in Buddhism and modern psychology, from Princeton, they often tell you that the issue with the human condition is that we suffer because we push against things, right? We stress out. And so there's a scene from Marco Polo where the Khan is talking to the character 100 Eyes, and he says, I would kill you, but I hear you monks don't fear, and says, I never say I don't fear death, I just don't cling to life. Right? Being very fluid in that interaction. And sometimes you may not get what you want. That doesn't mean you storm off and you throw a fit or all of a sudden it's over. You may need to take a step back and say, all right, this didn't work. How can I get it to work? And in doing such, these are just a few things that you can do. So to recap, SMART goals, you are what you eat, and plan effectively. Take a little time every day to try to add some value.
That's good. That's good. I want us to actually. SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely goals, right? I think some people need to get a understanding of what exactly SMART goals are, right? So specific is write it out and be clear and concise, right? That's the S.
Correct.
Right.
Yep.
And the measurable is the ability to track your progress. So that's basically saying, what, like by Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, I'm going to make $100, right? So like it's being very specific and something measurable that you can say, I made 100, not 99, but I made 100, right? Achievable, set challenging yet achievable goals. Like stop playing yourself and thinking that you're setting these enormous goals and you know that it's not going to be achievable or attainable in the time frame that you're looking for. So make it more realistic. Also relevant, right? So that's the R. Mm-hmm. Set goals that are relevant to your overall life plan. So it doesn't make sense to say certain things in that time frame if it's not relevant to your immediate life, right? Or like immediate goal. Is that where we're going with relevant?
Yeah, that's when you go to relevant. I'll modify and take over from here. Is that for measurable? Also think about it as it may also be something saying, hey, I'm going to take 30 minutes a day to meditate, and you just track your progress on, did I meditate Monday? Did I meditate Tuesday? And kind of, put that on the percentage aspect, which leads us to the T, which is for time, being timely and understanding that there's a time component. So if I say, hey, I want to be able to meditate every day, or I want to make $100, by 9 o'clock Monday night, what do I need to do and what time periods to do that, because we all only have 24 hours in a day. It's about how we use those 24 hours, right? Are we multitasking? Are we getting up early? Are we going to bed late? How many hours are we sleeping? How much time do we take to eat or work out? And trying to figure out how to maximize each component so that we can achieve whatever that specific goal was in the beginning.
That's good. Yes. Now go be great, people. Saying no. But from I really appreciate you coming on, sharing a little bit about the leadership perspective. I'm pretty sure there's a million more layers that we could have got into, because leadership is so deep and wide, right? But with the time that we do have right now, I want to make sure that I go ahead and let people know, what do you have coming up? How can people get in touch with you? Any programs, anything that's coming up? Lay it on us.
So you can see me at Kali, Kali, Richardson.com, official Kali Speaks. Those are probably the two main platforms you can get information. We just dropped a development manual that's actually using the SMART goals. It's kind of a workbook you can work through, using SMART goals and the SWOT analysis to actually measure and analyze your own goals. We're about to drop an online course that dives into a couple components of the book that's going to drop next year, The Sky is Falling. And so the online course is basically a deep dive into planning, time management, leadership, kind of priorities and things of that nature. And there's also takeaways from each of those also. In the book, we're looking at probably second or third quarter of next year. At least that's what the team says right now. We'll see how fast they can work. But the biggest thing I want to share with everybody is that understand that for us to be successful, not only do we have to listen, not only do we have to talk, but the biggest thing is that we have to support. So saying somebody is great is awesome, but also sharing that information with other people is better. And so to make sure that as millennials that we constantly push things that make our lives and our generation better, we have to not only support with our words and with our actions, but also with purse strings, right? Because unfortunately, it costs to make things work. It costs to make materials. And even if it's not anything else, share with your bosses, share with your friends, share with your family, and do what you can to continuously push us in a direction where we can have a better tomorrow than what we're living in today.
Yes, I love it. Kali Luther Jr. That was,
I do what I can.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for coming and sharing. I know this is going to be embedded in some women's spirits right here, because we don't talk about the leadership component, right? And what it really truly means to lead and to follow. The importance of both in one's life is super important. So thank you for coming and sharing that with us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Listen, ladies, I know that was a lot to digest. Your head is probably all over the place right now because you're like, oh my gosh, I never really thought of leadership the way that it's been spoken of today, or I've never really even took the time to figure out what kind of leadership style do I possess. Maybe that's what's hindering me. Maybe I need to take some assessments to truly just get a blueprint, a mold of what I can follow, right? And I hope that this gives you a little bit of insight into that today, right? But you guys know how I end every episode, with a statistic or a quote. And today you guys get to end it with a quote. And this quote comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And it reads, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail." Ooh, let that seep into your spirit. But in the meantime, in between time, I'm going to catch y'all next time.
You know it's time.